What's going on, everyone? So, I want to have a genuine talk about Brandon Ingram because I think Brandon Ingram makes a lot of sense for the Lakers. The Lakers are clearly right now in the market for a 3 and D wing, right? Somebody that can make an impact. All of the conversation is, a Jeremy Grant, a Cam Johnson, right? Like all of these names that you hear are guys that you could slot in and start at your three, give you some versatility, can defend other positions, can knock down the outside three, play on ball, play off ball, give you some level of versatility. Brandon Ingram would be the best option out of all of them in that regard. The problem is Brandon Ingram's value is incredibly low. Like based on reports right now, he has zero market. Like no one wants to touch him right now. And it's really odd because you talk about an all-star level player, the guy is incredibly talented, incredibly gifted. But it's two major factors seem to be the common denominator. One, he wants a max contract. He wants 4 years, $204 million, based on reports. He's not getting that. Like, what team is going to give him that? Because of the new CBA, teams aren't going to pay a third option $40 million. Now, I know many of you are going to say, but you want Zach LaVine on max contract? Yes, but he's already on the contract. Contract's only going to increase. It's only going to go up. Thing is that like Brandon Ingram's new contract will reflect that new one. So it'll be like 50 plus million a year, which is more than Zach LaVine. Also, you're getting assets and things with Zach LaVine that allow you to pivot into other things, right? And Zach LaVine, from a ceiling raising standpoint, alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I think would be spectacular. Also, you don't run the risk of Zach LaVine just walking away if somebody wants to offer him a contract, where Brandon Ingram could just walk away and now you're out all your assets. I could go on and on about why I still would like Zach LaVine over, but I just wanted to kind of clarify that because I know some people are going to say, well, you're willing to trade for Trey or Zach and all these things, basically along those lines. But with Brandon Ingram and with the new CBA, teams aren't, unless you're the number one, like clear, like this guy is the number one, number two guy, you're not going to get the max contracts anymore, right? You're already seeing guys starting. Jalen Brunson just set the market, right? The dude just took $100 million discount. Mikal Bridges is expected to take a discount. This is going to start being a common thing. The days of overpaying guys is out the window. There's always going to be bad organizations. There's always going to be those outliers, right? There's always going to be a guy that has an incredible year and everyone's like, oh man, we just got this guy for 35 million. What a steal. And next thing you know, the guy's unplayable, right? Like there's always going to be those little outliers, but teams are going to be so reluctant to just throw away because before the teams with all the money, they could just go into the tax and it's like, no big deal. This guy's done. We just got to ride it for a year or two and then we can trade him, right? No big deal. Or there's always going to be a team that'll take that salary on just to get a free asset or get some cash or something like that, right? There was ways out. Now there aren't those ways out, right? The new CBA has really set a standard. And so a lot of guys that those middle contracts, those like, 20 to 25 million, are probably going to be the new range for like your third tier guy, right? So like your first and second best player will probably get the max. They'll probably be the, 50, 40 to 50 million a year guys. It'll increase as the cap increases. But then I think then you'll have like that next tier who are like your third, fourth guys. Those guys will probably be in like the 18 to 25 range. Maybe if you have like a high tier guy, maybe he's in like the 30 million range. But those like 15 to 18 million dollar contracts, I think are going to be a thing of the past. I think guys are going to be, basically 12 and under, or they're going to be, that like 18 to 25, or they're your max guys, right? Those like, we'll give this guy like 17 and a half, right? Unless it's like a discounted contract where it's like, this guy probably deserves 25, but he's willing to take 17. Probably how it's going to go. And Brandon Ingram may end up being kind of the big name casualty with this new CBA. Also, his market is incredibly low right now, right? Because of his disappointing performance in FIBA. And then followed that up with his disappointing season with the Pelicans. He had his moments, he had his stretches, but he wasn't. I mean, Brandon Ingram himself came out and talked about how bad he was, how that was the worst performance he's had. Like that year was the worst year he had in a Pelicans jersey. So you have a guy who's not worth 40 plus million to begin with because of the new CBA. You have a guy that is basically on the downward spiral of kind of where he's at as far as player status goes. And he's not like 23 to where it's like maybe a team would like take the chance on him. It's like, man, yeah, but if he can kind of get back, like he's in this weird area, which could lead to value for the Lakers. The Pelicans no longer have the Lakers pick. Atlanta does, right? So there is now not that like, we shouldn't make the Lakers better because of that outside of like the Western Conference thing. But if Brandon Ingram doesn't have a market and the Lakers are able to get him reasonable, right? That's the key. If you have to sell the farm for him, then no, right? Because my thinking is one of two ways, right? Regardless, I wouldn't pay him the max. Regardless. The most, in my opinion, he's getting is like 30, maybe 35 million a year, just because the cap just shoots up so high in the coming years. And I don't think he'll get more than that, even on the open market. So to me, it's like, okay, if you can get him to come in, if he can kind of reinvigorate himself, playing alongside AD, playing alongside LeBron, which I do think is a real possibility. Also, he kind of has a lot to kind of show, right? So if you can kind of get him back supercharged and ready to go, and he can kind of get back into that all-star form that we saw with Brandon Ingram, he would be great for the Lakers. Now, again, there's injury concerns with him, and I still wouldn't pay him the max. I want to clarify that. So if he would be kind of willing to, hey, let me, you know what, like, fine, I'll take, instead of the max, give me 35 million or 30, or maybe you do a smaller term deal. Maybe it's like 3 years, 90 million or something like that. Maybe just line him up with like an Anthony Davis or something, right? And it's like, that way, hey, you can go get one last big contract if you work out here, or, hey, maybe if you take that next step, maybe we give you the next big contract, right? So maybe he's signing 3 years, 90 million or something, and then he's got like a player option for the last year or something, depending on how the market is, right? Maybe there's a team in the market to where he can go, you know what, let me go over here and go do that, right? I don't mind giving him some flexibility. There's also the factor of like, we were the only ones that wanted you, right? Like, all these other teams could have traded for you and they didn't. Like, think of like the Paul George to the Thunder, right? It was like, we just won't trade for him because he'll come and sign him for agency. And then it was like, we gave a bunch of assets for him. Like, and Paul George was like, I'm not just going to leave them. Like, that'd be messed up, right? You could potentially get that factor. The other way I look at this is you could potentially use Brandon Ingram as a sort of board wipe, right? To where, again, don't give up too much for him, but let's say something along the line, like let's say you could give up like Gabe Vincent, Rui Hachimura, and whatever else, right? Maybe you have to get a third team, maybe just shred, maybe they just take D'Lo and then they figure it, we'll just trade D'Lo somewhere or something like that. I don't know, right? Maybe you could work something out to where you could basically unload some guys, bring in Brandon Ingram, right? If worst case he walks, like, yeah, it would suck to just like lose Rui. Yeah, it would suck to just like lose Gabe Vincent. But now you'd have essentially, 35 million or whatever it is walking off the books. LeBron can restructure his contract. There's a lot better free agents next season. And maybe you can even entice a star to come. Or, maybe you can entice that next person to come. Right? So I think even then it could potentially give you more flexibility to maybe go make another big acquisition or two in a better, or what should be a better free agency market. Obviously, you never know. Players re-sign with places, they work out deals before. Now with the new CBA, teams actually get a head start on their own players. So right now it looks like it could be better, but you never really know. But the point is that like, if it works, if you don't have to sell the farm to get Ingram, right? Like if you can get Brandon Ingram for the price that it would cost you to go get like Jeremy Grant right now, I think it's worth the risk because one, you maybe if it works, then you're probably going to be very good, if not potentially hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy. And now you work it out. If you have to resign him, you resign him, whatever, right? Or worst case, it's like, you just kind of let him walk, and now you free up all this flexibility. LeBron can, opt out. He can make the same offer he did this past offseason, take, $25 million or whatever, go get another star and another piece, and let's go. Let's go win a championship, right? Like, so to me, I think depending on what the end result for the trade is, I do think you could be in this position to where it's a win-win. To where if it works, then you're great, right? You work out with Brandon Ingram, like, again, still not signing him to the max, but like, hey, let's find a happy medium here, right? Like, let's find something to where we can all kind of, find this common ground. And not just that, but like, again, unless he has some like insane season, which, I mean, how much better could he be than his like all-star year, 2 years ago or whatever? Like, unless something like that happened, like everyone kind of knows what Brandon Ingram is, right? Everyone kind of expects and knows what like the best version of Brandon Ingram is, right? Like how many teams are lining up to give him 40 plus million? So like, I don't even know if he would walk because it's like, who's giving you all this money? Like all the teams that would have salary cap are all the bad teams. It's like, you're just going to go to a bad team, like, and make sure, okay, then good luck to you, right? But at least you'd be on a team in the Lakers where you're also going to make money on, like, brand deals and endorsements, and if the Lakers win, right, the kind of money that's going to bring in and stuff. It's just, I would take the chance on Brandon Ingram just walking. Like, and even then, I just think you'd have so much flex, or potential to have so much flexibility, that you'd be fine. Right? Now that we know LeBron is willing to take that discount for the right situation, it gives you a little more lenience, right? It gives you a little more of like, you know what? Like if he walks and we can get that guy, then great, right? So again, to me, I don't think that would be the end of the world. But again, if you have to trade, like if it's like Reeves and Rui and 2 firsts and they want Connect and all, no, right? Good luck. Go keep them and let them and lose them for nothing, right? And then maybe LeBron will just take a discount. We'll just sign and work a way to sign him or something, right? Like it has to be this fair give and take. And I do think that the Pelicans, they may be interested in a couple guys. And again, I don't mind giving up some value because you do have to give something to get something. But there's a lot of risk with Brandon Ingram, from health to contract to him just leaving. And all of those need to be a factor. So, like, if you can get him for, like, a first and a pick swap, right, and then you just kind of matching salaries, and it's like, kind of take your pick from this group of players here, and, like, I don't think that would be the end of the world, even if he did walk, right? Because, again, you free up a bunch of cap space, you didn't have to sell the farm, probably go get a guy or two, you still have enough to go do other things, right? Like, if Brandon Ingram isn't working, you have a $35 million expiring contract plus like another first and like 2 pick swaps that you could use to then go and pull off another trade if you needed to, or if a star becomes available that maybe makes more sense, kind of swap that. Like, I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world. But again, it's all at the price. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think, like, yeah, take flyer on Brandon Ingram? Do you think, no? No? Go get a Cam Johnson or go get a Jeremy Grant or somebody better. Again, like, if they're all essentially the same price, to me, it's like, give me Brandon Ingram. Like, the only thing is that, like, at least Jeremy Grant, like, he's locked up long-term, so you don't have to worry about him walking. Same thing with, like, Cam Johnson. You don't really have to worry about him walking. The one risk would be that Brandon Ingram walk, right? But the upside for Brandon Ingram is just greater than with Cam Johnson and Jeremy Grant. So you're getting the better player of the group. So is it worth the risk? That's the question. But again, how do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. turn the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.